Hi, I'm Lori Brown. Pondercast is powered completely by the people who listen. And they do it through Patreon through a small monthly donation. And the work that we're doing here in our 4th season of Pondercast, we hope supports you. And if you'd like to support us, please go to patreon.com/Pondercast. Okay, let's do this. Let's Pondercast. In a new location. A bit of a new Pondercast tradition. It started last summer, which is just going outside and seeing what comes up. And here we are in September, holding on to the last moments of summer. And I'm here by the edge of Lake Huron for a week. So let's see what comes up. A plane. How do you know that you are an adult? One way is opening your fridge and seeing that there's coffee cream in the fridge. Another way is that you're able to go away in September. And going away in September always feels like skipping school. Everyone else is preoccupied with getting back into that schoolwork routine. And you are just slipping away unnoticed to a cottage. To watch summer disappear, basically. I'm just far enough away from the water of Lake Huron that you really can't hear the roar of that big water. But the roar of Lake Huron is overwhelming. This is what it sounds like when you're standing right on the beach with your toes about 4 inches away from it. Although the other night there was a huge storm and I swear I could hear it. But I think what you're hearing is the roar of a river that is probably about 50 yards behind me. There is a row of cedars and pine trees between me and the river. And this river flows right into Lake Huron, and it's where the salmon come up to spawn. And this place is crawling with fishermen because in about 2 weeks, the fish are going to be coming up the river. Right now, they're sitting just out beyond the edge of the lake, contemplating this all. And fishermen are down at the water looking out and anticipating the fishing they're going to be doing in 2 weeks. But when I walk close to the river with its fish ladder and waterfall, this is what it sounds like. I'm sitting behind my cottage with the microphone and a laptop and a fire that might be going, barely going. And the day is disappearing into night. Are you one of those people who just can't help but on one of these fine September days to blurt out, Oh my God, this is my favorite time of year. Yes, because it's cool in the evenings and you need a sweater. And I love sweaters. Maybe we fall people are actually basically just cozy people. Our lives ruled by needing to seek out coziness wherever we go. I want to sit in that chair and have that blanket. I want to wear those socks. But my search for coziness, or maybe it's just comfort, extends to other things. Like it extends to lighting, choosing a view, which window I want to sit in front of, food, and also a desire to force coziness on people around me. Here, take this blanket. No, sit here. This is the seat with the view. So I ask you now, are you comfortable? And you know that if I were there in your room, I would shoot out your overhead light. Just saying. Well, I'm comfortable and supremely cozy right now, watching this sky go from a kind of purpley blue into something a little darker around the edges. Let's sit and watch this day fade away into darkness. I'm close to the lake, and all around me are cottages. You know, cottages that have signs out front with rental phone numbers on them at the end of most driveways. And I'm here after most of the tourists have gone home. But on Labor Day weekend, I walk down to the general store, which is a store and a pub and a restaurant, and where you bring your garbage and where you buy your liquor and you get your ice cream and at the back of this store they have the most amazing wall of fish tackle. I am so fascinated by this world that I know very little about. All those tiny little colored bits of stuff, all displayed around a mini fridge of dew worms. But mostly I buy chips and read the want ads pinned up by the front door. On the weekend, I'd see kids with swimsuits on and towels and inflatables walking down the middle of the road. But today, I see one man walking two dachshund dogs at 4 p.m. and a garbage truck and some traffic going to the store, and that's about it. I notice a big difference from the activity of Labor Day weekend, but do the trees notice? Does the beach notice the lack of human activity? Do animals sense the quiet? Will they come closer? I mean, now is the time for squirrels and mice to start to look for that very sweet spot in the cottage where they can gnaw their way into either the crawl space or the attic. But I love going away at this time of year. I always feel a kind of regret as the coolness of the night descends. A regret that I didn't take full advantage of the summer. I didn't swim enough, hike enough. I didn't see all the people I wanted to see this summer. Well, with this COVID summer, we are left with feelings that actually they're not quite regrets. They come to me more as a feeling of loss, I guess. All the things that couldn't happen this summer. Moving on, because we've all been let down this year, but in fact, moving on is kind of not possible either. Any other September, I'd be sitting here in the quiet, dreaming big for what the next year will bring in full back-to-school mode, right? Lists would be made, plots hatched, big creative plans of what to do and what not to do. Instead, the runway of the future is looking very short. My plotting this year goes like this. How do I want to navigate the next lockdown? How can I get myself to where my family is and create a little lockdown bubble so that we can support each other? And that's about as far as my future planning goes. And I'm extremely lucky to be able to think that I can move around and get to my family. I plot that and how not to spend money. There comes someone going to the store. Yeah, how not to spend money and how to pay my bills. Oh, that sounds like a bit of local talent, doesn't it? There's some pretty wonderful souped-up cars around here, I gotta say. Impressive. But this year, I'm not into playing offense with the future. Are we all stepping back a bit, watching the play, strategizing our next best defensive move? I feel like let's get through the winter and then reassess. If there is another lockdown, what will you do differently? Last night there was a terrific thunder and lightning storm, and I could hear it coming from across the lake. The sky would fill up with light, and then there'd be this really lovely low rumble. And I was sitting here noting that the choir of crickets was definitely missing a few members from what it would be like just a couple of weeks ago, right, in August. It's that September thing. But every time the thunder would roll, they would go quiet. And as the storm got closer and closer, they would go quiet for the lightning too. It's a pickup truck, I can see it. And there is a lot of space between the top of the tires and the body of the truck. What could that be about? Back to the crickets. Crickets at this time in September are like those guys you see wandering around like it's still 40 degrees out, right? They've got cut-off shorts and sleeveless tank tops on, and they're standing around the fire with a beer in their hands, and meanwhile you have socks and shoes on and a sweatshirt and a blanket wrapped around you. Crickets in September. But to hear them go completely silent every time there was thunder and lightning, I realized that everything out here is listening and watching this storm come in, enjoying the show as it rolled into town. And it came, and the rain started on the roof, and the crickets were silenced for the night. You know this fall feeling I'm having, and you recognize how the cool air and the earlier nights puts you into this headspace that just has you imagining the year ahead of you, what it might bring, and how you might change to meet it. That shift that fall inspires. Maybe it's a holdover from school days. Maybe it's some kind of ancient DNA that triggers this really serious intent to buckle down and prepare to meet a deadly winter. But this is the time that we start again to turn inward. We float between wanting to stay outside, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the sky, the trees, and the fire, and dreaming up the winter road ahead. Fire sucks. I'm going to try and remember this night in February when I'm stuck inside. It's a beautiful night.